Welcome, everyone, to the From the Shadows podcast. I am your host, Shane Grove. And before we get started with this week's episode, I just want to remind everybody that if you want to find out everything there is to know about the From the Shadows podcast, and who wouldn't want to find that out, go to our website, fromtheshadowspodcast.com. You can find links to all of our social media. You can follow us, see what's happening, send us messages. Or if you have a story that you want to tell me about, hit the contact button on the From the Shadows podcast website. Send me an email. I'll get back to you, especially if it's something you want to come on and share. We'd love to hear it. And if you want to get a hold of me directly, you can find me on Facebook or on Instagram at Shane Grove Author, and just send me a message, and I'll get back to you. Maybe. I'll get back to you. Just may not be right away. No, I don't want to say it. But no, we appreciate everybody who reaches out to us and follows us and just hangs out with us. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool community that we've kind of grown, and we just appreciate everybody. And I don't know when this episode will come out, but we did hit a milestone of 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is kind of cool. We didn't really pay attention to YouTube for a while, but we've started doing videos, which, we're doing right now. So if you're not watching us on YouTube and you're just listening to us, you miss out on my beautiful face, our guests' beautiful faces, all the behind the scenes stuff behind the episode. So come check us out on YouTube if you get a chance. Just like us, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. So it's fun. Trust me. Trust me. So with that being said, I'm kind of I've kind of been eagerly awaiting this guest. I kind of got some hints from a previous guest who is tied into this guest that there was some other stuff going on, and it was one of our most listened to and watched episodes with Brian, who had some crazy Dogman experiences here in Ohio, not too far from where I'm at. And so joining us is Judy, Brian's girlfriend, right?
Yep.
There's nothing more official that we are aware of. It's just girlfriend, right? Or not.
That's right. Nothing more official. Darn it.
But Brian reached out to me and said some things that happened to you, some things that happened to his son. He has some plans that he's been doing his own research. He's got some plans that he is going to find this Dogman creature that, for lack of a better term, has haunted him and now apparently is haunting you guys. He thinks he's got figured out a way that he can pinpoint maybe where he can find one of these. So I'm not going to go into that, because I think Brian at some point is going to come on after he goes out looking, and hopefully he makes a return visit after he goes out looking, because if he does find one, I want him to return safely, and we can kind of get the behind the scenes in that. But with that being said, I want to hear what has been going on with you and Brian's son, and what kind of craziness is happening.
Oh, it's been crazy. Just want to start out. I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself so that you kind of understand where I'm coming from. I've been a nurse for almost 23 years. I ran EMS for 10. I have seen some stuff, and I don't get excited about a lot of things. You just can't do that when you work in the ER or if you're running squad. You have to kind of keep your head about you. So that being said, I'm pretty level-headed, pretty calm in the face of adversity and just of things in general. So anyway, I've sat through, listened to Brian's podcast, and that is crazy that he's got that many views on that one that he did with you.
Yeah.
Like 30,000 or something. But anyway, so I've listened to his story many times. Never had a reason to doubt him, and I still don't. But with that being said, I'd never heard of a Dogman until I met Brian. So, I'd heard this story. I've, looked around for Bigfoots, in our local our local state park, which is Finley. So, I mean, I've done that kind of stuff, and I've heard of the cryptids that are more well known, Mothman, things of that nature. Never heard of a Dogman. Did not know what that was. But anyway, so the first sighting that I had was in 2023, probably early summer. And I was working an evening shift at work. So I was coming home, and it was well after dark. It was probably about 10, little after. And I was probably about 2 miles from home. So I was on the state route that I live on. And they had just redone a bridge not too terribly far from my house. And as I was coming down the hill by this bridge, I saw something on the opposite side of the road. And so I slowed down because I didn't know what it was, if it was like a deer or, something. I couldn't tell what it was. But as I got closer, I saw that this thing had to be at least 7, 8 feet tall. Okay. And it was standing on two legs. And as I got closer, and it was in the vicinity of my headlights, I saw what looked like a big dog's head, it looked like a German Shepherd, like a mutated German Shepherd is the best way I can describe it. Very muscular upper body, standing on two legs, matted fur, looked like possibly blood on its face, like maybe it had done a fresh kill. There's woods and everything around here, so no amount of there's a lot of little critters for those things to feed on. And about the time it registered that this is what I'm possibly looking at, my brain went to, well, okay, but all I have with me is a small handgun. That's just going to make it mad if I try to shoot at it. And about the time I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get home, or should I just gun the engine and just drive past it? I didn't know if it was going to charge at me. It looked at me, and I could see amber colored eyes reflecting from my headlights. And then no sooner that I had that register, it dropped down on all fours and lickety split just ran across the road over the other guardrail down into this ravine. So I'm like, okay, screw this. I booked it home, sped all the way home, got into the house, and Brian was waiting for me. And he's like, what's wrong with you? Because I slammed the door and locked it behind me, and I was just like shaking. And I'm like, no, I just couldn't talk. And he's like, what is wrong with you? You're pale. And all I could get out was, I'm talking with my hands, making signs above my head, like, like dog ears and stuff like this. I could not find the words. And finally I got out, I saw it. He goes, well, what are you talking about? And I said, the dog thing, the dog man thing that you talk about. And he asked me where, and I told him. And the next day we went up there and looked and didn't see anything. And I told him, I said, no, I didn't know what it was, told him what had happened, exactly as I just told you. And I was just like, no, that's not cool. I mean, that scared the hell out of me because I didn't know what a dog man was. I mean, you see pictures, but until you see something like that you can't explain, it totally changes how things are. So
so I want to ask because people listening are gonna the first thing they're gonna say is, oh, she saw a dog that was just up on its hind legs. Okay, so what about what you saw made you know immediately this was not just some ordinary dog that was just happened to be up on its hind legs and then got down on all fours and ran away when you started coming or got there?
Probably the size of its torso. It was very muscular, very wide, and also just the general height of the dog. I mean, I know that there's bigger dog breeds out there, but this did not look like a Newfoundland or a Great Dane or anything like that you would expect to be that tall should it just be randomly standing on two legs. Okay. So knowing that there are a lot of cryptid sightings in this area, mostly Bigfoot, and knowing that where Brian had his encounter was maybe 3 miles from where I was at when this happened, led me to believe that. Because, at first when you come across it, yeah, it's right. Am I seeing a dog that just happens to be walking around on its hind legs for whatever reason. But the dog was way too tall, way too muscular, just did not fit the um, description of any dog that I've ever seen. And I mean, I'm an animal lover. I'm a dog lover myself. Never seen a dog that big. So
and ironically, I literally just got a message probably 2 days ago from somebody I think that will probably come on from somewhere else in Ohio. Almost, except it wasn't on a bridge. Same thing. Comes around the corner. The thing's up on two legs, makes eye contact, and then gets down on all fours and takes off. And it's like, okay, like, listen, I walk around all day long delivering mail. I'm around dogs all the time.
mhm.
The amount for 25 years, the amount of times I've seen dogs on two legs is about zero.
Right?
It's about zero. And if they are on two legs, it's because they are up on something else, up on me.
Mhm.
They're not just standing there on two legs. They're not
Right.
even doing anything on two legs. That's not
No.
to say it doesn't happen, okay? But in I have never seen it. I see dogs. I see more than one dog all day long, every day.
I
So
have 3 of my own, and they don't stand on 2 legs.
yeah. So and even if they do, like what I hear from listening to you and this other eyewitnesses, it doesn't seem like when they're up on two legs that it's unnatural. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, and people can see me like doing my best
Yeah.
imitation of wobbling around, but it seems like they're comfortable up on two legs, which dogs really aren't.
Mm-mm,
You know,
they're not. They're not.
so
And that's what kind of led me to believe that, okay, this might be what I'm seeing. I mean, of course, I don't have anything else to draw that from. I don't have any other experiences, or I didn't at that time to draw from that. But I just know that, like you said, typical dogs don't just walk around on 2 legs. If they are, it's because you were either holding a treat above their head and they're kind of doing a weird walk to get the treat, or they're leaning on something or jumping on you.
yeah.
So that kind of led me to believe that, okay, this is not a regular dog. So that's kind of where I came from with that. And, Brian can tell you that the way I acted was way out of character for me, because I'm not afraid of very many things, but that totally caught me off guard. So,
And I want to point out to all the people that say, "Oh my God, why didn't you whip out your camera, and take a picture, or take a video?" And the thing you're thinking is, is this gun I got big enough to get me around this
I
thing?
really wasn't thinking of my phone because I'm behind
Yeah.
the wheel of the car. And second of all, by the time I figured out how to get my camera up and rolling, the thing could have come up and, done whatever it was going to do. I didn't know what it was going to do. All
Yeah.
I could think of is, I've got to get home.
Yeah.
And that was my first thing. And it's like, okay. And I knew my gun was not big enough to do anything but make it mad. So I figured, okay, I want to see what it's going to do. And about the time that I had thought that, okay, maybe I'll just book it, gun the engine and just go. But then these things can move so quickly that,
Mhm.
would it follow me? Would it, would I pull in the driveway and it be behind me? Brian has tracked these things because, he told me they can move like 24 yards per second or something. And they can keep up with vehicles that are going 50, 55 miles an hour. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad you didn't tell me that before, or, when I had this encounter, because I would have just been like, nope, maybe I would have, turned the car around and went back a different way or something.
Mhm.
But excuse me, but yeah, so that was number one.
Okay. So now, okay, so you make it through this incident, and now you're like, okay, I've seen this stuff with my own eyes. What happens next?
Okay, so we had actually met a wonderful group of guys that do a lot of um, Bigfoot research, and we had gone on a hike with them. Brian actually went on one without me, but we went on some hikes, and I've just been kind of honing my skills looking for Bigfoot evidence and things like that, and just kind of learning a little bit more about cryptids, and I kind of put the Dogman thing a little bit behind me because I figured, what are the odds that I'm going to see it again or deal with it again? Um, so I just kind of didn't really think too much about it. But then last summer, we had gone on a family camping trip, and Brian's son had been sick a couple days, so he ended up bringing Stetson home and didn't get to do a whole lot of stuff that fathers and sons do. So after that camping trip, they decided they're going to go up to the local rod and gun club and do some evening fishing or night fishing. So, typical female, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have the house to myself, for a while. I'm going to go lay in bed, watch TV, do whatever I'm going to do while I have the house to myself. So I lay down and I no sooner get comfortable, and about half hour after they left, I hear a very excited little boy running up the steps and throws open the living room door, comes barreling in the bedroom, and he is white as a sheet. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is going on? He says, I saw something. I thought, oh God, I know where this is going. I already knew. And I'm like, what did you see, buddy? And he's trying to tell me, and he doesn't get excited either about things. He's he's a great little guy, very wise and very mature for his age. He doesn't get excited about things like that. And so he's trying to tell me that when he was fishing, that he happened to look over by the woods and he saw what looked like a very large German Shepherd, but it was um, a different color, he said. And it was on all fours, but it seemed to be very tall. And he was showing me that it was probably about up to his chest, a little bit higher on him, just sitting there. He goes, it had to be that tall because by the trees, it was really tall. So, and then he said, well, I saw it once and then I saw it and it was over here and then it was over here. So he's telling me that it's moving very fast. He goes, but it didn't move like a regular dog, like when a dog runs, and he's getting down on all fours, kind of making a motion, sort of like if we were to imitate like an ape or something.
Mm.
That's how he's showing me how it ran.
So it kind of like gallop maybe, or
yeah, kind of gallop loped kind of thing.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, buddy. I said, well, go in your room. I said, and settle down. I said, I'm gonna talk to your dad for a minute. And so I talked to Brian when he came in, and Brian didn't see that one at that time. By the time he had told Brian what was going on, it was already gone. I told Brian, I said, well, you're going to have to make a decision. I said, you're going to have to decide whether or not you're going to tell him what this possibly was or something. I said, because he does not understand what he saw. And I said, frankly, I'm a little worried. I said that it happened to show itself and Stetson happened to see it, because now he's definitely, he's talked about since then, times he's been outside feeling like he's being watched and things like that. Okay. I'm an empath. So it's like, yeah, if I get a feeling that there's something watching me, or I feel like there's something that might happen, I'm on alert. So like even when we go to Finley, and that's mostly Bigfoot sightings over there. I don't know of any Dogman sightings. Or even when we went to Salt Fork, there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings down there. I can usually tell if there's something around, and I'm usually right. I will see things peeking around from behind trees. I've heard the different vocalizations. I've heard tree knocks. So I don't know what these Dogmen thing do, but I'm a little more familiar with the Bigfoot aspect. So anyway, a couple nights later, Brian was not feeling well, so I ran up to the gas station to get him some Sprite. And again, it was close to being dark. So I came, was coming home, and a little bit closer to home, which is at this one intersection, which is like a T road intersection. There's no stop signs there or anything. I saw a car when I came up in that area, and I didn't think anything of it, but it seemed to be stopped. But people stopped there a lot, so I didn't know really what was going on. And once again, I pull up there, and there is another very large dog looking thing that was on all fours at this time. And so I stopped, looked at it, same type of thing, very big, very large, muscular. Don't know if it was the same one that I saw the first time or not, but I'm like, okay, we're doing this again. Okay, fine. It's like, we already had one family member see it this week. It's like, you really don't have to keep showing yourself. So then as soon as I stopped, that one just basically just ran across into the woods across the road from the intersection. In retrospect, I probably should have checked on the guy that was in the other car because he didn't move right away. So I don't know, but I'm guessing he saw it too. So probably not sure what he saw. If I had to hazard my guess, unless he was into cryptids as well. And I really don't know that for a fact. But again, all I wanted to do was just get home because, okay, these are very close to my house because that is only about 2.5 miles away. So we're talking probably a half a mile closer to my house than the first sighting.
Now, when that thing took off, did it run kind of how Stetson had described
kind of, but
it?
very fast. Yeah, kind of, but very fast. Just
Okay.
like, to cross a road. I mean, what roads are 20 feet wide, maybe 25 feet wide. I don't know how wide they are, but that thing was gone in a flash. And I'm just like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this tonight. So I came in, I told Brian, I said, here's your Sprite. I'm not going out anymore. I said, that damn Dogman's out there again. So here we are. And it was like, he was asking me what it looked like this time. And I told him, and he goes, well, it showed it to Stetson 2 nights ago. And I said, I realize this, but not quite sure why it keeps wanting to show itself to me, because I have a way different energy than Brian does. Brian's got more of a hunter's energy. I'm more empathic, so I mean, I do attract animals, but I'm not sure where this falls on that spectrum, shall we say. So
Now, does Brian believe that what you guys have seen is the same creature that he had run-ins with?
I don't know that he believes it's the same one or if it's maybe descendants of one. I don't know. It's hard to say if it is, the same one. I mean, how would we even really know that? I mean, they could all look alike, and I know that there's like 7 different types of dogmen from, research Brian has done, and just, hearing about different people having different encounters, what they describe overall is the same, but they seem to, be a little bit different, like with what the face looks like or what the animal itself looks like. So, could it be the same type? Possibly. Whether or not it's the same one or not, I don't know. I know Brian feels like the one that he saw tracked him somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it may have imprinted on him, and that's why it keeps coming back, and of course, it's going to have Brian's scent, I mean, Stetson, has Brian's DNA. I just have a whole completely different energy than those two. So,
but you would still, like, if we're the animal part of this, if it's tracking him and tracking, you guys would still have a similar scent to, there'd be some similarities where if he is attracted to ultimately to Brian, if this thing is ultimately attracted to Brian and just wanted to keep showing itself to him, maybe, you guys are throwing it off by, maybe it's like, God, I thought that was going to be Brian again. What? This lady won't leave us alone. This lady won't leave me alone. Like, where's Brian? Like, I want to play with Brian.
You're not Brian. But yeah, so yeah, and then probably maybe about a week later, Brian and I went for a walk, and we typically walk around the neighborhood as often as we can. But we had walked up towards the gun club, and I immediately got a bad feeling. There's a patch of woods when you're walking down the driveway, and there's a patch of woods if you're walking towards the gun club buildings, to the right. And it's just a small patch of woods, but I was getting a really, really weird feeling from that, to the point to where I walked away from Brian, because I was like, okay, I don't want your energy and my energy to be mixed right now. And then I started smelling something like a wet dog urine, rotted meat odor. And so the first thing I did, because I have an analytical mind as well, I walked over to the dumpster to see if there was anything in the dumpster. Like, I thought, well, maybe somebody throwing away food. I didn't know. I opened up the dumpster and it's completely dry and there's nothing in there. So I thought, okay, it's not the dumpster, which I was kind of secretly hoping it was the dumpster. But that stretch of the woods was completely quiet, completely quiet. Now, I didn't see anything that time, and I walked along the woods. We were both armed, with bigger guns than what I had with me that night. But I did not see anything, did not hear anything in the woods. So I thought, okay, well, and I told Brian, I said, this is this is not good. I said, we need to get out of here. So we got out of there. And then he wanted to go back up to the gun club at one point after Stetson had his experience, and wanted to see if he could see it, because he's, hell-bent he's going to hunt this thing down. And he sent me up there first to see if there was even any reason for him to go up there. And I did go up there. Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Now, Brian, that's not very, wow.
Yeah, he sends me up there because I can usually feel things before I see them. So I can usually tell them, hey, there's something going on up here, or no,
so
the birds.
Right before you get eaten.
Yeah, before I get eaten.
It's happening. So at least you got time to prepare. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So when they find my body in the woods, no, but anyway.
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. So, and I was okay with it. I mean, and people are probably going to come at me for that one, but I'm like, well, Brian's not going to be able to feel it like I do. So I did go up there, and yeah, it's like it was completely quiet up there, and it was the most foreboding sense that I had going up to the gun club. And I mean, I go up there frequently. I shoot. Brian shoots. So I mean, we go up there all the time. So when I got out there and I got out of my car, I was like, yeah, okay, something's here. So he actually went back up there with his gun and everything. And when he got there, he actually did hear a growl. So
Wow.
he noped it back here pretty quick. So yeah, so I mean, there was something there that night. Figured that's probably what it was.
Now, I know when Brian's episode came out, there's there's just tons of comments, and there was people that, from my memory, if my memory serves me correctly, from the area or close, that had some experiences. Have you guys run into anybody or heard any more stories that are similar to what you guys have experienced? I mean, has anybody in the area come forward with any kind of, other than a Bigfoot stuff? Have you heard any Dogman stuff?
Well, Brian was shaking his head yes a second ago. So so yeah, so I mean, there's people that have probably talked to him or probably messaged him. I just don't know the ins and outs of it. And then we did actually have one of our friends come up that wanted to see if we could find a Dogman the one evening. And of course, I went with this little group of us. And it's like I told him when we were sitting in the woods, and this person had brought some bait and all this other stuff, trying to draw in a Dogman. I'm like, I don't feel anything here. There's nothing in this stretch of the woods here. This particular place is not going to be a hot spot tonight. And of course, right across the little grassy area, frogs are chirping and croaking and everything. And I said, okay, I'm going to go walk up by where I know I've had these feelings. So I walked back up we were at the gun club. And so I walked back up there, and Nothing. It was a whole completely different um, energy. Birds were chirping still, and I mean, there was absolutely nothing going on. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think tonight's the night, guys. Um,
You have some serious guts. You guys, all of you, have some serious guts to walk up to go. Because here's the thing. Just say there is no, like, quote unquote cryptid dog man out there where you guys are at, but there is
mhm,
a 7 or 8 foot tall, standing on its hind legs German Shepherd that has a taste for blood.
uh-huh.
That in itself is scary enough. That's almost as scary as a dog man. I mean,
It
no matter,
is.
you know what I'm saying? Because I don't I don't know that what we think of as a dog man, I don't think they're really out hunting people. I think they want to scare. I think there's a type of creature that feeds off of our fear
Right,
more
that's
than,
what Brian says. That's what Brian
yeah,
says.
more than
And
feeds off of us. Literally,
he doesn't he doesn't send me out unless I am armed. And of course I was armed really well that night. I don't remember what I was carrying, but
with a
it was cool.
tank. Were you armed
Well,
with a
no,
tank?
Brian had the tank. No. I had the howitzer. No,
Good
no,
lord, a
but
Gatling gun on your strapped on your back. Yeah, I
I
mean,
know, right? That's probably going to be his next thing. But anyway, so I mean, I was armed, and he has taught me to shoot many of his larger guns. So, I mean, I was not afraid from that perspective. Like if it was an 8 foot tall mutant German Shepherd that just decided it's going to walk around on two legs and terrorize our town, you know, I would like to think that I'm a decent enough shot, and I'm not going to lose my crap, going, oh my God, and be shaking and whatnot. So I would like to think that I would keep my head in that situation.
and
So
I'm going to tell you, I don't care what all the dog lovers say. For all the mailmen out there, if you did have to kill a German Shepherd like that, do it. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
right.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, and even if it was a mean dog or something like that, um, a lot of times it's like I can pretty much make friends with just about any dog. There's only been one dog in my whole entire life that I have not been able to make friends with. And I think that was an owner issue, not so much a dog issue. So yeah. So
Isn't that funny how that most times is?
mhm,
And so I have to think. So going back to your being an empath, just a dog is not going to give you a bad feeling.
no,
Just a mean dog.
no.
Um, so,
But that
wow.
being said,
Yeah. Well, boy, I don't know what is going on in that part of Ohio where you guys live. I mean, the problem is it's just close enough to where I live that it gives me like, I'm not going outside looking for this stuff. Okay,
mhm.
number one. But I don't know. I just hope Brian. Wow, if he finds something, I hope he's quick. I hope he's quicker than the dog than the dog man, because I don't know.
Well, I trust his shooting. So I mean, if he
I
sees
do
it, I
too. I do
I
too.
trust that he will, take care of himself. But like I said, just a regular dog is not going to give me the willies, but
Yeah.
this sure as heck did, and
Mhm.
we've done, like I said, Brian has done some cryptid research long before I knew who Brian even was. And we've put things on a map, and we've tracked out ley lines and compared those with known sightings of Bigfoot. That's where we started. But I think it's going to go into more dogman sightings and where those are in relation to, these magnetic ley lines and some of these um, spiritual ley lines that have been recorded by like Native Americans and
Mhm.
whatnot. So, that's kind of um, our little pet project, shall I say? Um,
No
because we
pun
both,
in, no pun
yeah, I don't,
intended.
no pun intended. But that's kind of one of the things that we're doing, and I know that from a Bigfoot perspective, we want to go back and like go back down to Salt Fork and some of the areas we visited when we did spend a week down that way, and go from there. If we do find evidence of dogmen or hear of any Dogman sightings down that way, we'll probably put those on the map as well, just to kind of see um, where the hot spots are. But I don't know what about our little town makes it a hot spot.
No, and I'd be super interested about the the Native American aspect.
Mhm,
Especially like the burial grounds and
mhm.
little the settlements and stuff.
And
I'd just be super.
where we're at um, is kind of like where the main bigger 5 tribes area is.
Hmm.
So a lot of the um, counties around here are named after some of the Indian tribes that are uh, well known and have had skirmishes around here. So, as far as like burial grounds, I'm sure there are some burial grounds around here. Um, not sure about mounds or anything or how close the nearest Indian burial mound might be, but there's a lot of older cemeteries and things
Hmm.
of that nature, and a very creepy woods that's on a state route between here and actually another bigger city on the way to Norwalk that I've always gotten creepy feelings from, and seen some weird stuff, but nothing like a Bigfoot or a Dogman. I mean, other potential weird cryptid type things. So, I mean, I've seen that, and it's like I've had that feeling at that woods for close to 30 years. So it's like, and then when I was talking to Brian and I mentioned it to him, he's like, "Yeah, I've always thought that area was creepy." And just like, even if you take pictures there, you just get weird things on your camera, and it's like, okay, this is just way too weird.
Really? Really?
It's
Okay. Okay.
like,
I mean, I'm sure I know exactly. I mean, I'm sure I know I've been through that part, so I'm
I'm
curious.
sure, yeah, if I was to tell you where it was at, you'd probably know right where it was at. So, and you'd know exactly the woods I was talking about. But, and it's just a creepy little woods. It doesn't look like it belongs to anything. It's like all by itself. It just looks like it doesn't belong.
Hmm.
It's just a really weird, um, just a very weird woods. And the side note on that was, okay, I saw what they would probably call a knot deer. I don't know if you've heard of that, where the deer
I'm,
just does not look like a normal deer. Like the eyes are more forward facing as opposed to side facing, and they're bigger. And this deer, I was coming home. I was with my then husband, and just this huge deer was out in the middle of the road, and it just did not look right by any stretch. And I couldn't put my finger on it at that point because that was way before I got into
mhm.
cryptids and anything like that. I'm like, what the hell is that? That deer looked weird. And all my then husband said was, well, yeah, that was a big deer, but he didn't say anything else. So I thought, well, okay, I had been dozing off. So I thought, okay, maybe I just wasn't quite awake and wasn't sure what I saw. But then talking to other, cryptid researchers and whatnot, and learning more about the um, Native American aspect of cryptids, I learned what a knot deer was, and that's how I deduced that that's possibly what I saw that night.
I've never heard of a not deer.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, and they look so weird. It was just the weirdest looking deer I've ever seen. And it's like, okay, could it have been one that was sick? Possibly. I'm not saying that's exactly what I
Hmm.
saw, because what evidence do I have? And that was before cell phones and anything like that. So it's not like I was going to snap a picture of it or anything at that point in time. But looking at the deer and realizing and remembering that it didn't have any weird growths on it or anything that would have accounted for its weird look, and just realizing that, okay, yeah, it was the eyes that made it look so weird. That's the basis, and knowing that that's a known area by the Buckeye Trail. A lot of Native American history out there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's how I came to that conclusion.
Hmm.
So,
Well, I want to ask you before we wrap up, because again, I want you guys to stay safe out there. But I want to ask you about your being an empath and working in the medical field. And has anything really like crazy, weird, strange happened to you? I mean, like you said, you've probably been around some accidents,
mhm,
some death, unfortunately. Did
mhm.
it? Is anything stand out over the years that just kind of gave you the creeps or was strange or unusual?
A lot of it has come from my time as a hospice nurse. I've done that um, periodically throughout my career, and a lot of times it's a feeling I get when I walk in. It's just, you know, the families will be like, okay, maybe their loved one hasn't responded for a while, and then I will go in there and I will, start taking vitals, seeing if there's, are they close? Is there anything that's going to tell me? And it's like, and sometimes they will just wake up and just say something like, "Oh, isn't it beautiful?" and stuff like that, and then they just start sharing, a story that maybe they hadn't talked in a week or two, and the family's getting concerned that it's getting close to the time that they have to let their loved one go. Um, there's been that, um, and they'll wake up just long enough to tell me a story. I've never met this patient. I used to be an on-call nurse. So, I mean, a lot of these patients I'd never met before, and they would just start telling me a little bit about their childhood or about themselves. And okay, it's time for me to go. And, you know, they go like right when I'm standing there. Other times, it's strange because as an empath, I tend to elicit a lot more information than what I need for doing an assessment.
Yeah.
So I won't say this on here because there, maybe families watching, but I've had some really bizarre things said to me um, as far as, that type of thing. It's just the energy I have, hi, my name's Judy. I'm going to be your nurse today. What's bringing you to the ER today? And, they might be in for pink eye or something. And then it's like, then this one gentleman went into a whole dissertation about how he possibly got this pink eye. And I'll just let you think about how he may have gotten this pink eye. But it's like, yeah. So I'm just like, okay, I really didn't have to know all that. So it's not so much to where I get a feeling and then all of a sudden something bad happens or something like that. But it's more of a people just tend to just talk to me and tell me a lot more information. I mean, just strangers in the store, it's like they'll sit there and they'll just chat with me more than just a normal chit chat when you're waiting in line at the pharmacy or something like that, or waiting in line at the checkout. It's, they will have full on conversations and I don't know who in the world they are and I will probably never see them again. But that's usually my experience. So, I mean, that's probably where that is. But I have one more dog story though.
Oh, God. I was just getting ready to say, maybe the dog man's like, hey, look, I'm just trying to have a conversation here. And Judy seems like a really great person. I want to talk. So what? Okay, so you got one more dog story. What do you got?
One more dog man story. So anyway, this was the Sunday before Christmas, this past Christmas. And I always help Brian take the dogs out at night. He usually takes the bigger dogs out, and then I usually take our basset hound Dixie out. Um, since the Dogman sightings, I've always been on alert to when, okay, it seems a little too still around here. Now, probably about 275, 280 yards behind us is a patch of woods. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I realize that, okay, it's December, it's quiet out here, but, it just seems a little too still, so I've had several nights like that, but nothing where I've, felt like something was there or something, but just it could have potentially been there had I, hung around outside longer. So I'm walking Dixie, which is our basset hound, and all of a sudden, she's doing her thing, and all of a sudden I hear what sounds like a semi when they downshift and then throw on the Jake brake. We live in a small town, so that happens a lot. And I'm like, well, that's just kind of weird, but that's what it sounded like to me at the time, kind of that far off rumble kind of sound. So I'm just standing there waiting for Dixie to finish up. And I realize, okay, well, a semi should have already come by here from where, they normally do their Jake brake thing. And all of a sudden, it turned into this crescendo of this loud, guttural growl that sounded like it was on surround sound. I mean, I couldn't tell where it was coming from, but it sounded like it was coming from the depths of hell. So I'm like, what the hell? And Dixie is just beside herself. I mean, she had her tail tucked up so far under her, I didn't know a dog could do that. And she's looking at me like, Mom, do something. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do at this point in time because I don't even know where this is coming from. Because sometimes, you know, Brian has come in and said that, when he's taken her out in the morning when it's dark, he's possibly seen something run down the railroad tracks because the railroad tracks are right by her house. So it's like, okay, well, it could be anything. And he's not even sure what it is, because he can't tell. He just catches a glimpse of a shadow running down the tracks. So I scooped Dixie up and I ran up to the steps and, just basically let her run up the steps so I could run up the steps. I came in, I couldn't even, get her leash off. I couldn't even work the clasp on the end of the leash. And so I found Brian and I said, where is your spotlight? And my voice was shaking. He goes, what's wrong with you now? And I said, where is your spotlight? And he goes, why? I said, there's something out there. Something growled. I don't know what it is. And I described it to him. And I said, I don't know what it was. I don't even know where it was coming from. But I said, Dixie's scared too. I said, so I don't know what this is. I said, I'm not okay with this. So I got the spotlight and then Brian grabbed one of his bigger guns. And when I walked out to the back door, because we live on an upper level, I shone the spotlight towards the woods and I caught eye shine about halfway up a tree. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, and it wasn't like anything was climbed the tree and that's what I was seeing. It was more like it was next to the tree. And I said, shit, I just got eye shine. And then I don't know if it turned its head or went behind a tree or what. And then I caught eye shine again for a split second and then it was gone. And I told Brian, I said, okay, I got eye shine a second time. I said, but I don't see it now. I said, I don't see anything right there. I didn't smell anything when I was out there with Dixie. I didn't, I didn't actually see it this time, but I saw the eye shine, amber colored. I'm like, okay, this is not good. So Brian's like, well, come on, you run the spotlight. And, he had his gun ready to go. And we walked partway out, partway towards the field, didn't go all the way up to the woods, but, close enough to where we could decide, okay, fine, it's not out here now. And knowing how fast they can go and just knowing how big those woods are, because that's a bigger patch of woods and it hooks to different areas of the creek and whatnot. But I came in and I told Brian, I said, I'm not okay with this. I said, I saw it twice. That's one thing. But when you can't see it and you don't know where the sound is coming from, if I never hear that sound again, I will be okay. But I came in and I smoked 3 Black and Mild cigars back to back, and I was looking for a stash of bourbon because I'm like, okay, this scared me because I'm like, okay, nothing scares me. I mean, I'm, been on the front lines, people have been scared on calls. People have been afraid of patients in the ER, and I'm always the one that they send in because I can usually either, talk somebody down or I can read the room a little bit easier than some. But okay, this is something that's pure evil. And like I said, I don't have anything to gain by, coming on here and telling my story, but other than to bring awareness of that there are things out there and there may be things out there that we don't understand, and sometimes it doesn't matter if you believe in the paranormal or if you believe in cryptids or whatever the case may be. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion. And I just want to say that, once you see something or hear something that you can't explain, I mean, believe you me, I mean, I have a couple of degrees. I have a degree in chemistry and of course I have a nursing degree. So I will try to debunk everything that I can. But if I can't debunk it, that means I can't explain it.
Yeah, and like we always say, just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean it doesn't believe in you.
Right. And that's the thing. And it's like now something knows I'm out here. And, typically don't show a lot of fear when I'm in the woods because, there's a lot of predators in the woods, and not just cryptids. I mean, you could go anywhere in the country and, there's bobcats, there's bear, there's anything that can still feed on fear. Animals will feed on fear. A
Hmm.
regular dog will smell out your fear if you are afraid of dogs. So I mean, that's just, animals having the upper hand on you. So I try not to show fear when I go somewhere, but it was kind of hard not to show fear when I came booking it up the steps. I mean, I have
Hmm.
a mess, be booking it anywhere, but I
Jeez.
yeah. So it's like, okay, here I am, and it's like I'm telling Brian this, and he's okay. Well, let's get the gun and get the spotlight, and it's like, okay, I really don't want to go back out there again, but okay, because
Well, like I said before, while I want you and Brian to be the people who go out and maybe finally solve part of this mystery about the dog man by capturing one, shooting one, injuring one, kill it, whatever. I
Mhm.
do really want you guys to be careful and
Oh
and
yeah.
be safe out be safe out there, because
Mhm.
I certainly don't want to be
No, I don't
the
really want to go out because of one of those things either, and I
yeah.
certainly don't want Brian to either, or
I don't want
Stetson.
to be
But
I don't want to be the podcast host they interview. Well, you were the last to talk to them about their dog man episode, and they've been missing. I don't want to be that guy.
oh, don't be scared. It's fine.
Well, Judy, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. I think like I said, it is super important to share these stories just for awareness. I mean, like I
Mhm.
said, whether it's a dog man or a huge German Shepherd out there running around, it doesn't matter. That stuff is dangerous, and
Mhm.
I hope you guys, like I said, I hope you guys stay safe. I know Brian's determined, and look, I hope he gets his dog man. That's what I
Mhm.
like.
Oh yeah, he's got it out for the dog man. I know that. So
But I don't agree with sending you in first. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't agree with sending you in first.
he does that because I can pick up on it. And
Okay,
like I
okay.
said, and I give him guff. I'm like, yeah, sure, send me in there. But who's to say that we catch up with our friends and we go on a Bigfoot hunt or dogman hunt? Who's to say they won't do the same thing to me? I mean, that's just I just feel like that we all bring something to the table. Maybe that's what I bring. So
Okay. All right. Well, when they call you bait behind your back, now you know why. So,
hmm yeah.
yeah.
I,
Uh, all right, Judy. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I know our listeners are gonna love this because they loved when Brian was on. So,
oh
I
yeah.
hope they'll see a fuller picture now after hearing
Yeah.
your stuff. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
God only knows what's hiding